And we are back again. It's your friendly neighborhood film watcher. Sprinkling football in the building. I'm your humble host, Brandon. And I got my man, Honey Grant, set it off quick for me. How you feeling tonight, Chris?
Man, what's going on, man? Been seeing you fight the good fight out here in these streets, man, without
Mm.
me. Been ripping and running, as you and I both talked about time and time again. My son has gone off to college. He's been out the house for about a month, just trying to get back into the flow of different things we're doing, man. But see you keep fighting the good fight,
I
standing on the
try.
wall, man, and trying to make great content out here. So we're
Mm-hmm.
in draft season. Last
Mm-hmm.
time we talked about running backs. And we kind of, with everything going on, we're here at doing our 32 team breakdown
Yeah.
of the different teams. So the last team you talked about, you gave a great opening and closing about, what the Bears were going to do. But
Mm-hmm.
free agency is upon us, and
Mm.
we're like in day 2 of it.
Yep.
Like almost like the official day that you can start moving people around. And we seeing that 31 teams in the NFL feel like this is the time that you should be working.
Yeah.
Because we've always broken it down. There's 3 phases to building a successful NFL franchise. The
Talk about it.
first one is drafting. You've
Mm-hmm.
got to draft well. Not a lot of teams do it because that's your opportunity to go get young, cheap labor or
Mhm.
talent. put it
Talented
into your
labor. There we
team,
go.
talented labor, and find holes where you can fit it in. First
Yeah.
3 rounds, you want to like the first round, you want to get a plug and play guy. A guy that you can train first day, boom, drop him in, he can go. Unless he's a quarterback, because depending on your situation, you may want him to sit a year and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Your second and third round have got to be core guys into your teams.
Mhm.
Guys that first year they show promise, but their second, third, and fourth year, they're able to, be, key figure pieces inside your system.
Yeah.
Fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round are hole fillers. And maybe by chance, you find a diamond, like a Rain Dakota Prescott in the 4th round, or Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. in the 6th. Cats like that, or Isaac Pachenko for the Chiefs. You
Yeah.
find him in the 7th round. Those are the guys that hey, got talent. You want to see they can develop. They're not in that top 100 group, but they're guys to help you build your team. So that's the first phase. You want to be able to draft well. Second thing, you got to be able to develop.
Mm.
Got to develop. Nobody's a finished product. You're not a finished product. I'm not a finished product. We're all in the process of developing. So that's to the point, if you draft a guy, so your guys in your 2023 class, you should be developing them to be key pieces or developing to that next level who they are. Because, when they're in college, they're going to school and then they're doing football.
Yeah.
But if they become that 1%, they're just doing football. So that's where they got to work at. And then the last part, one of the key components that you have to have,
Never to be underestimated.
first off, has to be participated in,
There we
but
go.
never underestimated. But sometimes people get overvalued. Is free agency.
Mhm.
Free agency is an absolute beautiful system that's been placed inside of football, where guys who have played out their time and tenure at different places, they get an opportunity to put themselves on the free market and earn their market value for a period of time. And that's where most of these guys are trying to get to that second contract, where they can get that life-changing, financial independence for their families, because playing football is a short window. You and I both know the average NFL contract is 3 years. And so if a guy can get to that second contract where he can get that financial stability forever, that's what they're trying to do. So in our world, as a football fan, all 32 teams are allowed to participate in this process.
They should be. That's correct.
Should be. Another thing, when we were talking about development, but the other thing is sign your own. Because sometimes you got a guy that you brought in, you drafted, you developed him, you want to sign him.
Yeah.
Some teams feel like they should only worry about signing their own and don't worry about the other free agents. But
Incomplete.
yeah, but when you turn around, you want to be able to do that. So some of the big winners that I think happen in free agency, I want to say, and we're going to talk about them later, are the Washington Commanders. And I usually don't call them that. I usually call them the Washington Football Wizards. Tagged so beautifully.
They've been commanding our attention, so to say.
Yeah, they are.
Little dad joke.
Yeah. Our good friend Voch Lombardi always calls him that, and I've always held close to that because it's funny to me. But they're winning right now.
Hmm.
Who do you see winning right now in this free agency?
The Houston Texans, man. The Houston Texans
Mm,
have been big winners in free agency, in my opinion,
okay,
because they they turned into a good team last season with all of the changes that D'Amico Ryans and that
got
coaching
you.
staff has made, right?
Right,
But then they turn it around and build upon that with the solid free agency. For example, they like what they saw from Dalton Schultz. They extended him. They bring in Jeff Okuda for a 1 year proven deal, not expensive at all. They they seem to like Noah Brown, so they gave him another proven deal. And then they just at the end of my workday got Daniil Hunter, on a 2 year, $50 million deal. So
right,
they seem to be very focused on improving not
right,
only their offense but their defense as well, because they secured guys on their own as well, like Desmond King. They made sure he's not going anywhere for another year.
right,
Um,
right.
so yeah, man, I think that Houston's done a lot. Oh, and also they traded for Joe Mixon. That I think was
Right.
probably the biggest move,
Yeah.
biggest name anyway. Because
Yeah.
Joe Mixon was a guy who, despite all of his trials and tribulations, he had a great career in Cincinnati. It just so happens that
Absolutely.
his time has come to an end.
Yeah. I think what the Texans are doing is what you're supposed to do when you've got a young quarterback on a rookie deal,
Hmm.
and you're not having to pay him a lot of money, and you kind of see the window you're in. Let's go ahead and get pieces around our young quarterback so
Yeah,
that we can go slay the giant. And the giant is the Kansas City Chiefs. So and it
big
just
giant.
makes so much. Yeah, it just makes so much sense to say, okay, I can't simply go out and do the simple things to go out and beat the best quarterback in our time that we're watching football right now.
Yeah,
I've got to get every side of the ball possible and put the different pieces around him to be able to win. And that's what the Texans are doing. Got young talent, Will Allen. I think it's Will Allen over there, the defensive end. You
Will
turn around,
Anderson. Yeah,
Will Anderson. I'm sorry, Will Anderson is your defensive end, and you just keep putting pieces around him. I think you help out the run game with Joe Mixon. I think you're in a position where you can go get steady help up the middle. I think what I see more than anything, Brandon, is guard the most important area that people are really attacking and like cutting weight at or
hmm,
turn around and trying to get the best art is trying to get that guard center guard
yeah.
situation solidified on their teams. Teams are saying in free agency, I'm going to cut some guys. Teams are saying I'm going to cut some guys. Try to go get into this great market of guards and tackles that are coming out and centers that are coming out this year. Get some young guys that I can put in place. But that guard center guard position is definitely a place of strength that people are going after and getting more and more players.
Absolutely, man. I think that the league as a whole is seeing the importance of interior offensive linemen.
Right,
And when they got them, they generally don't let them go. Right.
right.
Um, John Jones in the chat box. That's my homeboy. He
Yeah,
mentioned the O line carousel. A
yeah,
lot of teams don't want to put their guys on that carousel. They want to keep them strapped in.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
go ahead.
but when you see guys like who was it? I'll use last year as an example. The Bears brought in the guard from Tennessee.
Yeah,
Um, oh man, what is his name? Is it Mike Davis? I think it is. But he contributed heavily to Justin Fields having the longest time to throw in the league last season.
yeah.
Justin Fields' athleticism contributed to that as well. But you
Right.
see the importance of truly having a quality offensive line. The Rams have Steve Avila at guard, right?
Yep. Yep.
Rookie last year. They still brought in another guy, Jonah Jackson. Who did he
Yep.
play for? Jonah Jackson played for the Lions. The Lions. He played for the
Okay.
Lions, and then they gave him a very good deal, 3 years, 50
Yep.
million.
Well, they bolstered what already had. Like you said, they already had Steve Avila. They
Mm-hmm.
went and got Jonah Jackson. I think they're trying to bring a center in as well. I think everybody's understanding when you got a quarterback that's not an athletic, get out the pocket guy, you want to make sure that his porch is secure. And because
I like that
you like that,
porch,
you like that, yeah,
man.
yeah,
He got to keep his porch clean. I like that.
yeah. Got to keep his porch clean because that gives him the ability to do what he needs to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can help a tackle. You can help an inferior tackle because there's not 32 outstanding left tackles walking around on the face of the free earth.
Yeah.
But there may be 10 to 15, but you can also aid him with chipping and with a tight end on there, giving it just a little bit more time to help that left tackle out. But getting inside where it's so dominant, so many players are, moving into, you got the Aaron Donalds, you got the Jalen Carters, man. You got, my guy up in the Jets, Babyface.
I cannot remember his name for the life of me. But I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Leonard Floyd? No, not Leonard Williams. Not Leonard Williams. But yeah, continue.
It's not but if you got those kind of disruptive pass rushers up front, then you turn around, you can make it harder for a quarterback because nobody wants anybody up in their face.
Absolutely.
And that's what teams are doing, man. That's what teams are doing. And as your quarterback matures and gets older, and as hard as they say, Father Time beats us all. We don't want to have to use our athleticism all the time to be to the point we got to run and get away from folks. We'll be able to sit in there, and just chill on the porch, man. Chill on the porch and do our thing, man.
So speaking of quarterbacks, right? Just at this point, maybe an hour and a half ago, we saw that Pat Mahomes restructured his contract with the Chiefs and freed up over $23 million in cap space. How you feel about that?
That's what you do when you have a premier position that you have to sign because the NFLPA will not let your quarterback, they won't let them bunny hop each other, but you gotta have a program in place and you have triggers you can push on contracts because that's what teams put them in place to be able to get their guys their money, right? They're still going to get their money, but it also helps the team and makes it, team friendly.
Yeah.
And Patrick and anybody who knows us, when you're an elite player, I call you by your whole first name, like Rain Dakota Prescott. I call him by his whole name. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., I call him by his whole name. I'm introducing to our friends and our family, Patrick LaVon Mahomes II is elite. And so
we already knew that, but you just got to give him his full name, give him his fair credit.
Give him his full credit. He has said, listen, for my legacy to grow, I've got to make it accessible for our team to use monies to be able to sign better players and put the pieces around me to keep this thing going. Yeah. He's almost like, the joke they always say, when Jesus was at the wedding, he said, I don't usually do all this, but let's keep this party going. Because that's exactly what they're doing right now. They're setting themselves up to become historical and to keep this dynasty rolling in Kansas City by freeing up money. The NFL already helped us by DraftKings and FanDuel and all these other different type of betting things. And with the new TV deal, they gave everybody extra money so that they could be able to, better their teams.
Yeah.
31 other teams understood and realized that. We're not going to talk about that team that decided not to play in this game right now. But as for the Chiefs.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that this is a thing that the league, and when I say the league, I'm including the Players Association, will allow to happen moving forward? Because you used a good comparison for Pat's contract. It's a baseball contract in the NFL.
Listen, they turned around. Go ahead.
But what this allowed the Chiefs to do was to get him paid at a monumental amount.
Right.
But also have the ability to just free up cap space at will. Do you think that that's something that the league will continue? Like, do you think there'll be anything put in place in the future to stop contracts like that from happening?
No. I will give you a perfect example. There was a left tackle, right, that signed in 2011, 12, 2015, right? Yeah. He signed a 10-year, $100 million contract, right? His name was Tyron Smith.
Yep.
And the league had no problem with him signing that 10-year deal. So all the Chiefs turned around and did was say, listen, I'm going to sign him to a 10-year deal. I'm going to make him the highest paid guy at that point in time because they got ahead of the curve with him. They signed him early. They didn't let him have to go to the 4th or 5th year. They signed him early and was able to take those couple of years where that 4th and 5th year to be able to get him some money, keep him at the top of the market, and be able to push some things down so they can keep this thing cooking.
Yeah.
So the NFL, so it wasn't like the Chiefs cheated. They just used the rules that were set up to their benefit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now, so it just so happened that their guy hit, and they didn't have to say, "Oh, we got to go back in here and find another guy." Yeah. Nor did they play games with him, right? And franchise tag him once, or twice. They got him signed when he was supposed to, so it could benefit the team, and they're reaping the benefits from it.
Absolutely. Hey, look, got more jewelry. Got more jewelry.
You know, the dude looks like he's opening up a K Jewelers. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, man. I hear you. One thing that I didn't like, and I want to talk about this team as a whole with this. The Panthers don't seem to want a number one receiver. The Steelers traded Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers, who entered the offseason last year with a roster full of receiver twos, right?
Okay.
Led by Adam Thielen.
Right.
But with the Deontay Johnson trade, and it doesn't seem like they gave up too much for him. I think they gave up Pittsburgh gave up Deontay Johnson and a seventh. And Carolina gave up a sixth in return. Okay. So nothing of real value was lost, right? But you have to ask yourself, what are they doing? Why are they trying to go for body blows when the face is wide open? Why aren't they trying to get a DJ Moore caliber receiver who they gave up?
Well, I think they feel like they do have a number one. Jonathan Mingo is definitely a number one caliber wide receiver.
Could do it. I loved him last year.
So Jonathan Mingo can be that guy. You put him with a proven veteran professional like a Deontay Johnson, and I think that's a great 1-2 combination. I don't think the Panthers aren't. I mean, when you said that to me, and it had to go to my mind, I forgot. And because they're the Panthers, and we didn't see him a lot, but Jonathan Mingo is definitely a number one. I think Deontay Johnson was disgruntled, didn't like the way things were going there, and the one thing that Pittsburgh always understands what they can draft. If they can't draft anything else, they can draft wide receivers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if they can't do nothing else, they can do that. So, I think it's happy trails for Deontay Johnson. I think he'll find a good spot there in Carolina. I think Carolina's going to continue to fill that roster out. I understand they lost Brian Burns, which was a tough blow to them. Yeah, but
I mean they got decent trade compensation. So
yeah, cool. But the thing about it is that when you have an elite pass rusher, I don't think you can ever have adequate compensation when the goal is to protect the quarterback and hunt the quarterback. And Brian Burns really hunts the quarterback well. He's a talent. He's definitely a talent.
Yeah,
absolutely. So whoever, the NFC East has got to, their left tackles and tight ends are going to get a lot of work because Brian Burns is going to be a force to deal with.
Yeah. I can agree. But I think that things get a little complicated because the Panthers don't have a first round pick. Their first pick in the draft isn't until pick 33. First pick in the second round. So, even though they may need a receiver, they're gonna have to get, I hate to use the term leftover guys.
No,
but they're going to get that second tier of receivers like the Keon Colemans, the Tez Walkers, guys like that.
That's a heck of a second tier set of guys that you're talking about. You're talking about a Brian Thomas, a Tez Walker from UNC. Deontay. You said Coleman, right?
Yeah, Keon Coleman, Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State. Those are some guys who because there's only 32 teams in the first round and everybody don't need a wide receiver, it's going to be a lot of great wide receivers go off the board in the second, third, and fourth rounds in this draft. As me and you have looked at them, there's a lot of good wide receivers out there. And so I don't think they're in that big of a need of a number one. They got a number one.
Yeah.
I think they just need to continue to fill in the holes because they got a lot of them in Carolina. When we go and talk about them,
whole lot of them.
The next few weeks or so, we're gonna see that they're kind of piecing some things together, man. That's gonna look that's gonna help them be more competitive. I'm not saying for them to be able to challenge for the division, but they're gonna be able to put an acceptable product in my city, on the field in my city that I think they definitely deserve. Yeah. Even though I live in Virginia, man, I'm always gonna be a Charlotte guy, Charlotte kid, 704. Guys are different, and I just hope that they continue to do that.
Yeah. And I think that this is a good way to segue to the next part. I want to talk about what Washington has done, because we're also going to talk about what Washington needs in the draft, right? Being that they have the 2 overall pick.
Right.
Seems like Dan Quinn wants to bring over all of his guys, not just coaches, but players too. Players that really mess with his system and got it and can maybe be leaders on his defense, because he has been a defensive coach historically.
Yeah, the Washington Commanders, hold the second pick in this year's draft, and they're kind of in that kind of great spot where they're turning over new leaf. From the whole
had a lot of money to spend.
And man, I think the thing started from the top with them with getting Daniel Snyder out of it. Got a whole new regime that's in place to try to bring the glory of that franchise back to the NFL. As a Cowboy fan and always hearing a lot of times, there was many times that the ownership in Dallas was mad with Washington not being as competitive as they can be, because when Washington's good and they're in the nation's capital, there's a ravenous fan base there that's longing for just to be competitive. And when they're good, they're loud and they're proud, you know. So they got the second pick in the draft this year, and they brought in a new head coach. They got the old defensive coordinator sabotaging ass Dan Quinn. Yeah, I'm still yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Benedict Arnold ass. Just sabotaging. Let's play safeties as linebackers. Yeah, let's go and play zone. But and
then turning around in Washington and immediately getting traditional linebackers. They brought in Frankie Louvu from Carolina, on a 3-year, $31 million deal. So you see now that he has the ability to spot traditional linebackers and go out and get his guys, right? But that's also not the only move that they made. They poached a couple of guys from Dallas. They brought in Dorrance Armstrong, coming off of 2 really good years for a guy who had his snap count.
A rotational guy. Yeah. A rotational guy
who's capable of 8 sacks.
Yeah, I think Dorrance is a key piece for your special teams. A good rotational piece. They're going to be in need of pass rushers because last year they let go of Sweat as well as Chase Young, and so they were looking for guys. So if they got a guy that they can fit in place, and if they had to play football on Sunday, they have it. That's the goal of free agency before the draft. Yeah. You want to be able to set your team that if I had to go play on Sunday, I can have every spot filled. Well, they've already got 2 cogs with the defensive tackle with Jonathan Allen and Devon Hand inside. So you got those 2 guys. So you go get a piece. You go get a guy who's played in the league, not a lot of snaps. He's a he's a Jeff Heath special as a defensive end. And anybody who hold on. Anybody who
I was with you, Chris. I was with you.
Listen, man, don't ever disrespect the GOAT, Jeff Heath, man.
Yeah.
So for y'all to understand, for me, Jeff Heath was a free safety, strong safety for the Dallas Cowboys many years ago. Led the team in interceptions 2 years in a row, and was a great piece. But Jeff Heath had a limit. So whenever I say a guy's a Jeff Heath type of player, when Jeff Heath was at 25 defensive snaps, he was the GOAT. snap 26 and beyond, he was also another GOAT, not one that you wanted.
No.
So I think Dorrance is really a good rotational piece, and he's going to be able to help that team out as they continue to try to develop or maybe even draft a defensive end, because they are picking very high in every round. I think they have. You told me
pick
they had
34.
Yeah, they had
picked 34 in the second round. So
right, they picked 34. But I think you said they had like 8 or 9 picks in the first 100 picks. Is that what we talked about? How many they got?
Second, and I can confirm that.
But if you turn around with the second pick in the draft with different pieces around them, they also picked up Austin Eckler as a running back. And he can be your transition back, because they already got Brian Robinson as a running back, so they like him. Austin Eckler comes in on a deal where he doesn't have to be the bell cow, but he does bring stability to that backfield. So I definitely like that pickup. They already had wide receivers. They already had They already had Dotson. They already had
they got Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin. I think
Curtis Samuel.
Well, Curtis Samuel is a piece. So that's another part. They could use an upgrade with their defense, with their tight end. I love Logan Thomas, but I don't know if he's going to come back. But they could also use an upgrade there. But they've got the one asset that you can't. Two things that most teams want early in the draft process or in the offseason process. They have hope, and they got money.
Oh yeah.
And if you got those two things right, you can help build the enthusiasm around your football team. So with the second pick in the draft,
and just to confirm before you go into the picks, they got 5 picks in the first 100, but then they also got pick number 102. So you can say 5 in a possible.
Hey man, if you got 5 in the possible, man, somebody getting set. You know what I'm saying? Somebody getting set. Because I'm going to read the board, and that possible going to turn to a 6, maybe a 7. So they're in a really, really good position. So they've got the number 2 pick in the draft. And many people think they should go get a quarterback. Now,
I'm included in that.
Okay, you're including that. Me personally, this is why we mesh so well. I don't have a problem with Sam Darnold. I mean, I don't have a problem with Sam Howell. I got a real problem with Sam Darnold, but I don't have a problem with Sam Howell because I think Sam Howell has promise. I think he did regress somewhat under Bieniemy's system last year with his numbers, but I still think his offensive line play was really subpar. So I think a guy like Howell, who has athleticism, who can throw the football. And here's the other part about it, man. Even though nobody wants to deal with it, he's still on a rookie deal. This will be year 3 for him, so he still hadn't made any money, right? And you can continue to put pieces around him so that you can go ahead and build a quality football team. So I'm not as much. I think a lot of people are shaken by what the Bears did when they had the ability to go draft Patrick Mahomes II. But here's my deal. I think everybody saw Patrick at Texas Tech. I don't think Patrick becomes the monster that he is without a year of sitting and without Andy Reid. Now I know that might sound like clickbait or something like that, but I don't think I think he'll be a good quarterback. I don't think he becomes the legend that he is without those 2 key assets.
Possible.
He had a lot of mechanical flaws coming out of Texas Tech, right? Everybody knew he could make wicked, crazy throws, but he had a lot of flaws. And I think having a year to sit behind, sit in Andy's system and sit behind Alex Smith, I think that helped him get a lot of things tightened up. I think Sam Howell is just in a situation where this will be his 3rd OC. This will be his third OC in his 3rd year in the NFL.
All right, so let me ask you this: do you think that he has regressed since coming into the league? Because I tend to think that this was his first full year starter. For all intents and purposes, he was a rookie. All intents and purposes, his 2nd year was his rookie year, right? Because he only played 1 game in his rookie season in 2022.
Yeah, and he beat the Dallas Cowboys when he did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do
Right.
you think that multiple offensive coordinators can cause a player to regress?
Absolutely. Because I think it all has to come with being comfortable,
Hmm.
understanding the system around you, and then with to the point of being with comfortability comes familiarity.
Yeah.
So if I'm comfortable in something, I can become familiar, and then I can start seeing different things inside of what we're doing.
Hmm.
So um, I think that Sam could only get he's and under Kingsbury, who's already an offensive mind, who's a guy who's had a couple of Heisman Trophy quarterbacks inside of his system, right? And right now we can see Cliff Kingsbury has had what
Yeah.
three guys that are all NFL quarterbacks,
Hmm.
right? You know, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
So he's had an NFL caliber quarterback. So I think putting Kingsbury what he's an OC. He's not a head coach. He's an OC.
Hmm.
So get an opportunity to put him there, work with Sam Howell, use that second pick, that position of the second pick, and to help build out that football team, I think that would be a wise move. But you could do the wild card and go get, in my opinion, the second best quarterback in the draft. And that's Jalen Daniels out of LSU, Heisman Trophy winner.
See, I'm gonna send you a long list of players, Chris, and I need you to help me put them in order after this.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let me forget.
No
But
problem.
you think Jaden Daniels is better than? I'll just toss a few names out there. Michael Penix.
Yes.
You think Jaden Daniels is better than Drake May?
Yes.
You think Jaden Daniels is better than a healthy Jordan Travis?
Yes.
Who won the matchup?
In that game, Jordan Travis won because Jordan Travis had a better football team that night. But at the end of the day, Jalen Daniels is a better quarterback across the board than he is the second best quarterback in this draft, hands down. I don't think he ends up getting your coach fired. I think his upside is through the roof. He's got an adequate arm. He's got live feet. He's accurate with the football, and I think you can build around this young man because the lights aren't going to be too big for him. The guy when that guy left Arizona, you knew he had certain things he could do, and then when he landed in the Bayou, he just turned around and got around NFL caliber football players, and just was the best football player on the field. Some nights he gave Georgia everything they
I'm
wanted.
glad. I'm glad you included the some nights.
Yeah. Some nights. When he turned around and started fighting with that monster that was FSU, that was that team with all those transfer guys in, and probably arguably the best running back, one of the better running backs in the draft. It was different. It was different.
If the University of Michigan didn't hit me with a copyright strike, that film session would still be up.
I understand. I understand. But that's my whole thing. I think Jalen Daniels is the guy that if he goes to Washington, I think he changes the trajectory of that franchise overnight.
Okay.
Overnight.
Okay. And I feel the same way, except with Drake May, right? I feel that a quarterback like Drake May can come in and take full command of the offense because I think that he brings, and I hate to use the comparison because he's tall and his skin ain't the same color as mine, but Drake May got a lot of Josh Allen in him. Right?
Okay. I'll give you this. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish because I think that would be like Okay, so everybody understands this. Okay, I am a full-fledged Virginia Tech Hokie guy now. Okay, but before a particular kid went to that school, I loved Carolina football.
Yeah,
and I've watched the last three guys that come at quarterbacking out of Carolina that people had all the interest in the world for. Mitchell Trubisky, right? Sam Howell, right? And Drake May.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just thinking, in my humble opinion, right? Drake May does have a lot of Josh Allen traits in him, right? I just don't think he turns the ball over as much as Josh Allen, because I think Josh Allen is just a turnover machine.
Yeah.
and will rely on him being the biggest, strongest guy on the field, kind of, vintage Ben Roethlisberger at times out there
Yeah.
on the field. And so OCs have to turn around and protect him from himself.
Sure.
You watch Buffalo last year.
Yeah.
It just so happened it was when they decided to play the Dallas Cowboys, turn into a running offense again,
Yeah.
and helping Josh not be the turnover machine he is. I don't think Drake turns the ball over as much as him. I just don't think he's I don't think he's just as polished and doesn't have. I think Drake is kind of at his ceiling.
Before he played the snap?
Yeah, I think he's there. I think he's there. And then I also think I think if he went to anywhere else but Washington, he wouldn't fall into little brother syndrome. Okay? So anybody that doesn't know this, Drake May played at Carolina. So did Sam Howell. Sam Howell was the reason. He was one of the main recruiters of Drake May to Carolina. So when Sam left, it was right there for Drake to take over. So I think if he goes to Washington, it's kind of like big brother, little brother, where the little brother's coming to take the big brother's job.
Crazy.
Right?
Crazy.
And it's going to be to the point, Sam ain't going to give that job up without a fight. That's the first thing. So I think, with the NFL being the way it is, and he's still on that rookie deal, and if you put pieces around him, I think you can still build something there in Washington and get your haul. I think everybody has got to get their own version of Herschel Walker in the draft. Now, follow me with this, everybody.
Okay. Herschel
Walker was the catalyst and linchpin to the Dallas Cowboy dynasty. Okay, for them having that trade.
Shout out to the Vikings.
Oh man, shout out. Always salute and love and honor and adoration for Minnesota being so daggum stupid. But the NFL was different then, because you couldn't, if you kept a guy, Jimmy told him out the gate, if I kept the guys, I could, but what I wanted was the picks, because I had to revamp my roster. So I think if you turn around and can get as much as you can for a particular draft slot, because everybody's so crazy about these quarterbacks coming out, because me and you went at one point last year was like, there's 14 draftable quarterbacks in this draft.
Absolutely.
I'm like, 14. And we started going down the list, and it's at least 10. At least 10. At least 10. Now, some of them some going to be great. Some are going to be epic. Some going to suck. But they're going to get drafted. So I think in this situation for them, I think that if you can use this position, I think you talked about the first pick with Chicago, you know, what they could do. Me and you don't always agree. I definitely don't agree with the Chicago situation, where you see it. But I also definitely in the second slot, I don't think that football team needs a quarterback right now. I think you can turn around and use that to get a bevy of picks, an extra first next year, a second or maybe a fourth or a third this year, and be able to fill out your football team and field a very, very competitive football team.
So that 9 quarterback pick, if you were picking at 2, Chris, set it off, Chris. You on the clock. You got 3 minutes. Who are you picking?
So because I don't watch them that much, if I'm not going to take, if I'm on the clock, and if somebody's going to offer me to trade down, it depends on what they offer me to trade down. If they're going to offer me their next year first, a second and third, their second, or maybe their second and their fifth this year, or second and fourth this year, and another first and a third next year, I'll take that. And if I got to go get a guy at number 2, I'm going to go get probably the most safest player in this draft for them.
I know who you're going to say.
Hey, man.
You talking Brock Bowers?
Huh?
Are you talking Brock Bowers, or are you talking Joe Alt?
Well, I don't. If I'm gonna go that high, I'm gonna go take a guy that can protect my quarterback. So I would go get Joe Alt.
Okay.
I would take the number 1 tackle off the board, which would be Joe Alt, and take him at number 2 right there. solidify my offensive line, and be able to go forward from there.
Okay.
I live in a division where I have to block a Micah Parsons. I've got to block a Brian Burns,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've got to deal with that, and I got to deal with the bevy of guys
In Philly, yeah.
that Philly throws at me, just in my own division. Because to get to the playoffs, the easiest way to get there is to win your division. So go get Joe Alt, plug him in my left tackle, and let's ride with everything else, and have extra picks next year, and go from there. That's what I would do. The second pick in the draft, I'll take Joe Alt.
Okay. Yeah. If it's a non-quarterback, sure.
Right.
O-line, best line. You know.
Yep.
Take your guy, right? Because I believe that they need every single offensive line position. Left tackle being the most important, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if you want to talk about making Sam Howell better, right? How could you look at Brock Bowers' name and not rub your hands like Birdman a little bit?
Not the second pick in the draft, though. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm saying I have to fall down. I can't take Brock Bowers. I can't take him before 5.
Okay.
The only other guy that I would take, there's only one other guy that I'm taking in the top 5, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay.
That's it. So, but Brock Bowers would be my next pass catcher off the board if I had to go get one. If in my top 3 or 4 is Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors out of LSU, Brock Bowers, and
Georgia.
Out of
Georgia.
Yeah, out of Georgia, and then I'm gonna get Rome Aduzie out of Washington.
Okay,
that's number 4 for me. 5 is a toss up. You can go. Yeah. You can go so many different directions with 5, but those are my top 4 guys.
Yeah, you can go like Ladd McConklin out of
Well, I wouldn't put Ladd in the top 5. Ladd's gonna be a piece. Ladd's gonna be a player. Ladd's gonna be a player. But but you got your guy out of FSU. So you got him. So I like a lot of guys, but those are my top 4 guys.
Okay. Now, obviously, I believe they're gonna take quarterback, right? Absolutely. But yeah, man, if a team like Oakland picks at 13, Vegas picks at 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a few teams before them that also need a quarterback. The Broncos who pick at 12, the Vikings who pick at 11, right? You never know what the Jets are gonna do with Aaron Rodgers' situation. He just had somebody say they want him as their vice president.
The thing about it, that's why this second pick, this first and second pick, can be Herschel Walker type, because so many these two teams, they might not have the best quarterback, but they have a capable quarterback in those positions. Chicago has a capable quarterback. Washington has a capable quarterback.
Yeah.
It doesn't get crazy until 3 with New England. You follow me? So those teams at 11, 12, and 13 who may want to move up, hey, man, they're going to have to get in there and, be like Goldie. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have to go ahead and choose. But when they choose, they're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to the Mac. Shout out to
the Mac. You know what I'm saying? You said that we had 1 to 35, right? But you said I had 6, right? Go ahead. If you want, go check out that clip. Y'all be able to take care of it. But that's what I'm saying. Goodness. You're going to have to pay to play to get to that position, 1 or 2, to be able to get that. So if the Raiders want to be able to do it, they're gonna have to come. They're gonna have to come with it. If the Jets want to do it, they're gonna have to come with it. Yeah. So it's a tricky situation there.
I think that the more that I'm thinking about it, the Sam Howell situation and Justin Fields situation are very similar, right?
Yes.
I mean, honestly. Did Sam Howell win more games than Justin Fields last year?
Sam Howell okay.
Justin Fields won 5 games last season.
Okay. Sam Howell won how many?
While I'm looking it up, I'll keep talking. Sam Howell and Justin Fields kind of got a similar situation, except one could get paid, sooner than the other, right? They're on a team that has a lot to build upon. Both Chicago and Washington have a bevy of picks and cap space available. They're young, cheap, and possibly talented.
Yeah. They're
And Sam
both
Howell won 4
talented.
games last season.
There you go.
Justin Fields won 5.
There you go.
And then they also are in a situation where they could be replaced. So it is a very similar situation for both of those guys.
I think they're in places where they could be replaced, but they're also dealing with instability in coaching and franchise.
Yeah.
Both of those young quarterbacks play with organizations that are in flux with transition. Chicago's in flux because they haven't had a consistent OC for the last 3 years. Okay. Washington's been in the same situation. Sam Howell's had 1 year to start. He had Eric Bieniemy come in, and Eric Bieniemy just didn't have Travis Kelce to get the ball out as an outlet, and he didn't have Tyreek Hill to do certain things. But then he also didn't have the aid or the addition of having Andy Reid to say, hey, I see this as well. And so I think if I give him another year with better pieces, right? A premier NFL left tackle and a Joe Alt, and then you go ahead and put some, and like I said, you put some more pieces around it. You get a Joe Alt. You can turn around and get Austin Eckler be able to spell Brian Robinson. You get another wide receiver maybe in the top of the second round, because they're going to be guys you can be able to put inside that. That's an upgrade over Curtis Samuels.
Yeah.
Probably not over Terry McLaurin or Dotson, but you put another guy in the slot. You go ahead and get
let me talk about that right quick. Let me talk about that receiver situation right quick, right? Once you get past a few guys, this receiver class is more large and slower than last year's class, right? Both classes extremely deep, but this year's class is more size focused as opposed to last year. Last year had a lot of small guys.
Small fast
Zay
guys.
Flowers, Tank Dell.
Small quick guys. Right.
A guy who would be perfect for Washington in the second round. This might be my third time talking about him. Keon Coleman out of Florida State. In the last season, he didn't drop a single pass that went his way that was catchable. No tips off of the hands and it goes flying. Nothing. He caught 100% of the catchable balls his way. So if you're looking for someone who could, be a short-handed guy, be a great safety valve for Sam Howell in the second round, or for the quarterback in the second round, whoever it may be, Keon Coleman might be that dude.
You can go get a Keon Coleman, big guy, big receiver. Just doesn't always play like the big receiver he is.
Yeah.
And so, that could be a transition in that. But I also see if you go ahead and put him on the outside, and then you start making mismatch situations where you put Dotson in the slot. Terry McLaurin is a bona fide guy. He's a bona fide NFL steady. He's going to get you 1,000 yards every year. He's going to be that guy. So you got a stable there. I think Keon Coleman would be a great addition to that football team.
Now, this is only if they take Drake May, right? But you get Tez Walker in there. I think that'll be great because you saw the difference in Drake May when Tez Walker wasn't there versus when he came back from his kerfuffle. His kerfuffle.
When he came back from the shenanigans that the NCAA puts on certain individuals when they want to. Let's just call it what it is, because they play by rules. They make them up as they go.
We will never know them.
Yeah, they're like family Uno. Yo, it's a draw 37. That's what that is. You're stacking. It keeps going around. So you just never know with the NCAA sometimes.
Absolutely.
But Tez is a talent. Tez is definitely a talent. He has great upside. Second round's a little bit rich for me for Tez Walker. I'm gonna be absolutely honest with you. Another guy who you love, Xavier Legette is almost one of those guys. I think that second round's a little bit rich for me, and I know Xavier personally. But those are some key guys. So I think you can get that additional piece to fill out with that offense in the second or third round and not lose anything. I just think you want to keep gaining draft capital and then just start filling in the pieces while you still have a young quarterback on a workable deal.
Yeah.
Because like I said, by him being a I think Sam was a 4th or 5th rounder.
Fifth round.
He's a fifth rounder.
Yes.
You still got control of him, honestly, for the next 2 years, maybe 3, even if you want to tag him.
Yeah. What do you think that the Commanders are going to do?
If you decide to keep Sam Howell and not draft.
Yeah. Of course. I'm following.
Right.
I'm following him. I'm hoping that they follow you.
Right.
What do you think that the Commanders are going to do with Dan Quinn's vision for a defense? Because we got history of him in Atlanta and in Dallas of preferring DB built guys at linebacker. Now he signed a traditional sized linebacker. But what do you think they'll do in these bevy of picks that they have to address that?
Well, this is the one thing I don't understand about what the Commanders have done. They got William Fuller out there in free agency, just out there, and just chilling. 28, 29-year-old guy, absolutely can play in this league, but they don't want to pay him. They got him in free agency, letting him test the market. To me, it's just crazy because I would love to put him on my football team because he's solid, he's steady, he's consistent, he's an absolute technician in what he does. So they're kind of forcing holes, and what Joe Witt likes to do as pass game coordinator, who's now the DC, he's gonna want to do a lot of press man type coverage, and that's what Fuller does. He's a press man corner. So I don't understand why you're gonna leave him out there in the wind whistling to figure out what you're gonna do there. When it comes to line, he's already got something that he did not have at his last stop. 2 bona fide studs inside in Jonathan Allen and Deron Hand inside for there. And as they continue to look for other pieces, to fill out that defense, I like what they're going to be able to do. The hybrid thing that he tried to do in Dallas with Keanu Neal one whole year, and then to come back his third year to turn around and bring in playing the big nickel with the Jaron Curse, or with my guy from FAMU, the safety, Marquise Bell. He may continue to try to do it because he had success with it. But him getting one traditional linebacker doesn't surprise me because he honestly likes to play with 2 traditional linebackers. He likes to do that. When he was in Dallas, he didn't have a problem with playing with Leighton Vander Esch and honestly, in Micah Parsons' rookie season, he didn't have a problem with playing Micah Parsons and Leighton Vander Esch. And inside, he just found out that Micah Parsons was a pass rushing menace, because of injury. That was why they ended up doing that. The only problem we had as Cowboy fans watching him, Micah's second and third year, continuously being played at defensive end, which ended up wearing him down towards the end of the season. He's much more effective as a situational pass rusher and not a continuous pass rusher. So I think he's going to go find another young guy. They've got a young guy there they got from Memphis a couple years back. But I think he struggled as well. So you can find a linebacker, in the second round. You'll be high enough in the second round picking to go and get the young linebacker out of Texas A&M. You can go get a the kid at Clemson. I'm dadgummit. I ain't been, man, me and you ain't kicked in the middle. I got like 1,000 guys running through my head. But,
Clemson. What was the position again?
Linebacker.
Jeremiah Trotter.
Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Go get him. So you'll be able to find a linebacker high in the second round to be able to do the things you want to be able to do. I just honestly think that Washington is in a premier position to make some noise this year in this year's draft and be a force to be reckoned with in the years to come. I just don't think that you have to sell out and I think Jaden Daniels is I think he's very, very good. But I also think Jaden Daniels can bring you the kind of haul of picks that you want to be able to change your franchise for years to come. That's it.
One position, and you mentioned Kendall Fuller, right? One position where I think that they really going to struggle because Fuller was probably their best corner is the cornerback position.
Right.
They drafted Emmanuel Forbes high last season.
Right.
And he didn't pan out in his rookie year.
Right.
He didn't pan out in his rookie year. Right. But then they also drafted Quan Martin, one of my favorite corners last year, and they didn't really give him a chance. I think he might have played less than a dozen snaps, honestly.
So what you're basically saying is you got rid of Fuller because Forbes was there and you wanted to see what he had, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you end up you took Forbes, you got to see what he paid out because you drafted him so high.
Yeah.
And then the other young man you said didn't get a lot of snaps, so you get rid of Fuller so you can bring the younger guy on to play him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, I mean, they also got what was the dude name? Ben St. Juste. Ben St. Juste, who's like there.
They liked him a lot. They played him a lot last year. Yeah, they tried to run him.
They might have liked him, but he struggled, right? So he's going into his 4th season. Okay. So time might be running out for him.
Well, it might be running out for him, but like I said, they're gonna give him a shot. He maybe will go to the slot, and move because I think they want to kind of play their young guys. They're not going to give up on Forbes that easily. They're not going, and I think they feel like with the addition of Joe Witt, I really think the key to Dan Quinn's defense, is Joe Witt. I of all the guys, listen, man. Of all the guys, I didn't have a problem at all, and we're not going to turn this into a Cowboy centric podcast because we're talking about all teams, but because I know Joe Witt I know Joe Witt from being with the Cowboys the last couple of years. When Dan Quinn was out here shopping his goods around and seeing, hey, will somebody hire me? I had no problem. I think I told you several times somebody should have changed the code on the keypad and not let his ass back in the building.
Talk about it.
I would have easily given the job to Joe Witt Jr. Without question. Out the gate, because I think he was just waiting for an opportunity to go be a DC. And you could have kept him as your DC, knowing the personnel that you had, knowing that you were going to have to make some changes with some guys, like with Jaron Kurtz for the Cowboys, or with knowing you want to play more linebackers. Because I don't think Joe Witt really wanted to be out there, with Bell and Jaron Kurtz and playing.
I can't think of many people who would.
Right. So I just think it was, kind of, like I said, sabotage, just, being just foolish to think you're going to go out here late in the season. And we saw 6 times where Dan Quinn tried to, put that kind of defense on the field and got his ass blasted. So I think with Joe Witt being a DC, he's not going to make that same mistake because he's watched it 6 times before. Not really 7 to 8 times. That mess not work. So, I just think I don't think you're going to have I don't think you're not going to have one. You're not going to end up being as lucky to find out that you can draft an off-ball linebacker and then turn around and find out he was a pass rushing menace. I don't think they're going to get that option because I don't think that guy's sitting in the draft. But I just think the philosophy is going to be different. That you're not going to end up with that type of deployment of a defense, especially when people have seen him do that for the last 3 years and get his ass whipped by it. Joe Witt's not going to make those mistakes.
Yeah, I kind of agree, especially if he's empowered, because with Dan Quinn being a defensive minded coach, he may want to make the defense his baby. If Joe Witt is empowered to be able to command that defense, I think that he'll make some different decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that'll happen. I think that'll happen. I don't think Dan will go back to trying to call the defense until it seems like it's getting out of hand and they're getting whipped.
Yeah.
But he might not have the pieces to make it run as smoothly and effortlessly as he did in the last couple of years. But I don't think Joe Witt's going to be running a lot of big nickel against certain teams.
Yeah, I can agree, especially if they use that blank check that they got, because they came into free agency with about it was over $100 million in cap space, and they still got over 80.
And listen, and you get to a point that you had what the minimum the league says you need to get it to, and I just think that the new regime is willing to spend the money to bring the pieces in place to try to bring that franchise. Yeah, bring the fans. If the fans feel, I've been seeing a lot of big W's running around here, down here in the Hampton Roads area,
Yeah.
and they believe that they're gonna have an opportunity to win. So
Mhm.
it's a good deal. It's a good deal,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about Washington?
Nah, man. I hope they lose every game,
Of
especially the
course.
two they play against the Cowboys.
Of course.
But hey, listen, they've got a lot of things going in the right direction, and they're showing promise, man.
Yeah.
They're showing promise.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So we've been on for an hour, Chris. We've been on for an hour. I think that's good time to say cut. But if you haven't already, be sure to click that like button. That is virtual currency for us, right?
Man,
And it only takes a second of your time. And
no doubt.
also, make sure you tap that subscribe button as well, so you can get more dope content like this. Where in draft season we talk about every single team and what they may or may not do. Come draft day in April, right?
Absolutely.
And if you are so inclined, go ahead and click that share button. Send it over to your friends. Say, hey, that guy Chris ain't making no sense. Man, Brandon waves are immaculate. And things of that nature, right?
No doubt, man. No doubt, man. You definitely got to do that. You definitely got to do that, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. But as always, man, me and Chris, we always try to link up to talk ball. And until next time, this is Franklin Football. Peace.